was I called my mom and dad and apologized for being a rebel. Had the privilege of leading my daddy to Jesus Christ 3 weeks before he died of cancer. Praise God. He gave his heart to Jesus at 69. My mother's alive. She's 77. I call her 3 times a week. She'll talk the ears off a billy goat. But I love her to death. You know why? Because it honors God to honor your parents. And by the way, young person, it honors God to honor the authorities around here, your teachers and those in authorities, going to good amen. I was a lover of pleasures more than lovers of God. The devil came to me as an 18-year-old kid and sold me a bad bill of goods. He said, if it feels good, do it. If it felt good, I did it. But the devil never told me the end result of the sin I'd indulge in. He never told me that when I started drinking that first beer, that I'd drink almost every day for 6 years. He never told me that when I took that acid trip and began to smoke marijuana, that I'd become a drug dealer to keep my habit up and to stay in vogue with the wealthy kids. I smoked marijuana literally till my fingers turned brown. I did over 100 hallucinogenic trips, LSD, psilocybin, peyote. We used to drink Romular cough medicine to get high. Amphetamines, barbiturates, I even snorted heroin. I did cocaine. The devil came to me, but he never told me that I need to rot my brain out. He never told me that, save the grace of God, I'd be in jail today like some of my friends are. There's a young girl that was married in my hometown. I got her high on marijuana the first time. She liked it so much that she started doing bigger drugs. And later on, she graduated to shooting up heroin. She was so beautiful that she walked across the stage. Every guy in here dropped their mouth. She was that beautiful. Some men in Miami, Florida began to merchandise her to keep her up with heroin, and she became a high-priced prostitute. They'd fly around the world. And several you asked, where was the lady at? They said she was murdered because of drugs. And it breaks my heart I had a part of that. You say, well, Brother Charlie, how in the world do you meet Jesus? Well, in 1974, in spite of all my drug dealing and drug doing, I managed to finish school. I was so high, they called me the Twilight Zone. I moved home and got a job working for a construction company. See, I was a manipulator. I could sell snowballs to Eskimos. I could act straight and be high. I was a gifted manipulator. And I began to sell drugs, and a young lady called me up and said, how about meeting us in Columbia, South Carolina? We got a proposition for you. When I walked in their home, she pulled out a mirror and pulled out some white powder and didn't roll up a $10 bill. She rolled up a $100 bill into a little tube. And she said, take a toot. I took a little snort of cocaine now and then, but, you know, it's very expensive. And so I rolled up the bill and woo-hoo, man, oh, wow, where'd you get that from? She said, hey, listen, we're going down to Bogota, Colombia, South America. We're muling pounds back. We want you to be in the top end of this because you can move it. Would you like to get involved? I said, count me in. For the next 4 months, I was a part of a big drug dealing operation out of Bogota. I was the first person in the States to get the cocaine, so I'd only been cut one time. And I'll tell you where my profits went. Up this nostril, up this nostril, that slept very little, partied. Now I weigh 170 pounds. I lost down to 130 pounds. I looked like a walking skeleton. I lost about every friend I had because I was so arrogant and stupid and ignorant. My parents said, son, what are you doing? I said, get off my back. I know what I'm doing. One night in a large city in North Carolina, I was partying with a 19-year-old girl. She was very beautiful. And I got her high on cocaine. We partied about 3 o'clock in the morning. Wild partying. She looked at me at 3 o'clock in the morning. She said, Charles, are you happy? She called me Charles, not Charlie. That was unusual. Well, on the outside, I was boogie-woogie all night long, cocaine Charlie, money all you need. But on the inside, friends, I would cry myself to sleep at nights. I would go home high and cry and say, what's life about? I'd cry. And for the first time in my life at that point, I got honest. I said, no, I'm not happy. She said, I can see it in your eyes. She said, you know what you need? She said, you need God. Now I looked at her and put a good cursing on her. So you blank the bank girl like you telling me I need to meet God? She said, don't you laugh at me. I've got an older friend, and if you want to meet God, you call me at this number, and we'll teach you how to meet God. For the next several weeks, I couldn't get that off my mind. Meeting God, still doing dope. That's interesting. I didn't think you could do that. I know you can't do it. I called them up. They said, we've been expecting your call. And I went to this large city in North Carolina, knocked on the back door. A man in his mid-30s with a long beard and eyes that would pierce through your soul said, come in, we've been expecting you. Well, that was interesting. And I walked in the house. I almost ran. I walked in the house, and I got him high on some good Colombian marijuana, and we snorted some cocaine. But the house felt evil. And they said, we're going to go in another room. We're going to talk and see if we need to introduce you to God. When they walked out of the room, I noticed there were hand-painted pictures all over the walls. And I walked at one picture and said, oh, we praise thee, O Beelzebub, Prince Most High, our God and our King. Oh, we worship you, Lucifer, our God and our King. And listen, for 3 months, I got involved with 2 people, listen, that openly worshiped Satan. Now, I've seen in rituals with a fellow that was a warlock, him raise a rope and make it hiss like a snake. Listen, friends, Satan has power. You know how much power he's got? Some of you have been going to this Christian university and you're not even saved. That's how much power he's got, and he's kept you from getting saved because you've given in to him. These people came in the room and said, well, Charles, let me tell you something about yourself. And this guy went to a trance, listen, and things